If you're new to our channel, we'd love to have you join our little community. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. We promise it will be worth your while.
I was reading my favorite blogs one morning when I saw a crazy post about something called a womanless pageant that their school did. According to the post, the school held a contest where boys would dress up like girls for a beauty pageant, and the best-looking ones would win prizes. That seemed too weird to be true, but there were pictures of boys wearing fancy dresses and sometimes gowns like girls wore to the prom. They had makeup on, stockings, heels, and sometimes you could even see that they also wore nail polish. Some looked silly, but a few actually looked pretty enough to make me feel like I did when I saw a pretty girl. It was getting late, so I rushed to get ready for school. As I pulled on a pair of pants and a shirt, I wondered about what I'd read. What would it be like to wear a pretty dress, have mom do my makeup and hair, and compete in a pageant like the boy on the blog? Nah, that would be silly. I could never get into something like that. Besides, my friends would tease the crap out of me. During classes, I found myself looking at some of the other boys and wondering what they'd look like in one of those beauty pageants I read about. Take Greg, for instance. He ran track and was on the skinny side. Better him than Dave, who was built like a tank and played football. Yep, no doubt, Greg would make a much better beauty pageant contestant than Dave, but what about other guys in my class? Then there was Tom. Short, skinny, already kind of girly looking in my opinion. He'd probably make a cute girl. I was almost positive about Zach though. Long hair, skinny, didn't participate in any sport, sort of a waste as a boy anyhow. Yeah, Zach would be great for a womanless pageant, probably wouldn't even have to ask him. By the end of the day, I'd already decided which boys in my classes would be best participants in a womanless pageant and which wouldn't. I even found myself wondering which, like Zach, should just call being a boy quits and become girls. When I got home, I rushed to see if anything more had been posted on the blog I was interested in and was thrilled to find more postings about womanless pageants by boys who'd been contestants. They all said the same thing. It had been lots of fun, no one ever laughed at them, and they'd happily do it again. One boy who had won a pageant even posted pictures of himself in a pink dress that came just above his knees, had long, sheer sleeves that puffed out from his shoulders and narrowed down to buttons at his wrist. The top part, scooped down at the neck, was decorated with what I guess were fake diamonds and was being pushed out like he had boobs. The top of the skirt was more than one part. The top was sheer like the sleeves, but underneath you could tell that it was solid to keep it from being see-through, I guess. His legs were covered by stockings and looked pretty good. Every bit as good as any of the girls in my school, and on his feet he wore a pair of white shoes with a heel. He wore makeup, pink lipstick and eyeshadow, and looked like he had some kind of face makeup too. He had white earrings, a white bracelet, and even a necklace with a white stone hanging from it. He said that his mom insisted that he color coordinate his shoes, earrings, and necklace, and that he thought he made a pretty good-looking girl. The judges obviously agreed because he wore a sash, like they did in beauty contests, that said Mr. Garden High School Queen, a crown on his head, and he held a trophy, and what he said was a $100 gift certificate to his favorite computer game store. I couldn't think of a whole lot I wouldn't do for a gift certificate like he had, but to get totally dressed up like a girl and let lots of people see me that way. The guy got all kinds of compliments from girls on the blog, telling him how pretty he looked and how the dress fit him perfectly and showed off a cute figure for a teenage girl. One girl asked how far his mom had gone in dressing him up. He told her that he'd worn everything any other high school girl would worn, including panties and a padded bra. What amazed me was that he said that he actually enjoyed being all dressed up like that. The panties, pink, to go with his dress, were very comfortable, much lighter than his normal briefs, and being made of some sort of silky material, they felt so nice to wear. The bra matched his panties, had white lace across the cups, and although it was a little tight, he didn't mind since it gave him just the right look in his dress. A couple of other boys chimed in about their adventures in pageants. One, who called himself GJ, said that he was always short and not real masculine looking, so as a little boy, his mom used to enter him in pageants as a little girl. He said that he used to have to dress like a little girl on their way to pageants and sometimes had to spend a day or two as a girl before the pageant. His mom would dress him up as a girl and they'd travel to where the pageant was held. Just before the pageant, he'd change into a frilly dress with a petticoat, tights, and low-heeled shoes. His mom would do his hair and put a little makeup on him, and he'd wait with the other little girls who were also competing. "Didn't your dad complain?" someone posted. "At first he did," DJ typed back, but the prize money kept him quiet, and so did the time when Mom got him all prettied up and took him square dancing. Dad enjoyed himself so much that whenever he could, he'd dress up, become my Aunt Jill, and came to pageants with me and Mom. Dancing, shopping, and watching romantic movies when she's not working as a secretary. "Your dad's a secretary?" Like the kind in dresses, came a startled response. "Yeah, he makes a pretty good-looking lady," TJ said. "Aunt Jill's easier to get along with than my dad, and it's loads of fun when Mom and Aunt Jill take me shopping and sometimes on vacation as Tiffany Jean." I was confused. Boys pretending to be girls for a school pageant was one thing. Competing as girls in pageants for little girls was something else. But going shopping as a girl with your mom and dad, who was also wearing a dress, was a whole nother matter. While reading the blog, another problem literally popped up. I was getting all worked up imaging boys and dads in dresses. I had to quit reading and get my homework done, but I just knew I'd log back on once I finished studying. The idea of boys dressed up like pretty girls was just too hard for me to resist. After a week of faithfully following that blog, I felt like I just had to find out if dressing up like a girl was as much fun as the kids on the blog said it was. After school one afternoon, I finished all of my homework and snuck into Mom and Dad's bedroom. I opened the drawer where she kept her underwear, picked out a pair to try on, and rushed back to my room. I quickly took off my pants and underwear, slipped on the white panties with lace at the waist and leg openings, and twisted and turned in front of my mirror. No doubt, panties felt so much nicer than my briefs. They fit very well, and I definitely liked the lace trim. I kept them on and went back to surfing the web, this time, though I searched for things I'd read about in the blog, like womanless pageants and cross-dressing. I was so into seeing boys wearing pretty gowns for pageants and everyday girls' clothes that I lost track of time until I heard Mom coming in the front door. I pulled on my pants as fast as I could and switched to playing a game on my P. I didn't have time to change out of the panties, so I just hoped Mom wouldn't notice anything unusual. Dinner was tough. I had to sit still when all I wanted in the whole wide world was to rub my nylon-covered butt against the seat of the chair. I wondered how Mom could take the feeling so well, maybe because she grew up wearing panties like that. It wasn't like I could possibly ask her. Getting away with wearing Mom's panties thrilled me so much that I just had to keep it up. Every chance I got, I wore her panties. Sometimes to school if there wouldn't be gym class that day. Sometimes when I was playing baseball with my friends, and pretty much every night when I went to bed. It was such a kick to wake up in the morning and see the pretty panties I was wearing. I felt really bummed out if I was having gym class that day and had to change back into boys' underwear. After several weeks of wearing Mom's panties, I felt like I just had to go further, to wear something more than just panties. Even though I wouldn't be able to go anywhere, if I wore one of Mom's dresses, I softa felt like her closet was calling to me, daring me to put on a dress or skirt, and I never turned down a dare. The first chance I got, I snuck into Mom's closet to pick out just the right dress for my first time wearing one. After just a couple of minutes browsing, I found what had to be the perfect one. It was so pretty. red with lace covering a silky part. I held it up to me to make sure it would fit. I nearly dropped it because I was so excited that my hands were shaking. I held it close and ran to my room. I knew I had about 2 hours before anyone got home. I just hoped it was enough time for me to sort of spread my wings. Know what I mean? I got my shirt and pants off in record time, unzipped the dress and pulled it over my head. I stared into my mirror and couldn't believe how pretty it looked after I tugged the dress over my hips. I couldn't help thinking that stockings would make it so much better, but for now I'd have to make do with what I had. The next time I got dressed up, I'd make sure to get a pair of mom's stockings and a bra, and maybe a pair of heels to really complete the look. I'd also need to figure out how to zip it up. It was just too loose on me otherwise. I had so much fun twirling around and swishing the skirt from side to side. I curtsied a few times, feeling so girly as I saw myself in the mirror. I moved a chair over in front of the mirror and practiced sweeping the skirt under me and sitting the way I'd seen girls sit, with my legs crossed and my hands in my lap. I just had to come up with more ideas, so I could look and act more like a girl. I got mom's dress back in time, but it wasn't easy. I wanted to hang it in my closet so that I could put it on and pretend that I was a pretty lady, but I didn't think Mom and Dad would appreciate it. Unfortunately for me, Mom and Dad decided to both take a week's vacation, which seriously cut into my ability to raid her closet. I had to settle for pilfering a pair or two of her panties when she walked away from the basket of dry clothes to be put away. One day, as I pulled on a pair of pink panties that were nothing but lace, I wondered what in heck was I doing. I'd be screwed big time if Mom or Dad caught me, and that would be a walk in the park compared to what would happen if any of my friends or kids I went to school with caught me. I'd be laughed at, ridiculed, called every nasty name in the book, and that would just be the start of it. I'd never get a girl to talk to me, let alone go out with me, and a few of the boys would likely beat the crap out of me on a daily basis. It didn't matter though, I just had to get those panties on. I pulled them on and sat down to do some web browsing. Instead of reading that blog though, I searched for sites that would give girls directions on things like doing their nails, the cutest outfits to wear, and how to do their makeup. I figured these were all things I'd need to know if I wanted to look like a girl. I was amazed at all of the things girls had to do to look pretty, and I was also determined to try some of them myself. I figured that polishing my nails would be easiest, so I borrowed a bottle of red polish from my mom and started working on making my nails pretty. I did my 2 nails since they'd be out of sight. My gym class was my last class of the day, so I didn't have to shower. I could leave right after class and no one would ever see my pretty nails but me. I had painted a bunch of model cars and planes, so doing my nails wasn't hard at all, and I just loved how they looked when I finished. The only problem was the smell of the polish. I opened my bedroom windows and hoped it would be gone before Mom and Dad came home. When they finally dried, I went back to Mom's room and got a pair of stockings so I could see how my toes would look in them. While picking out a pair of pantyhose, I also borrowed a pair of Mom's panties so I could not only see how pretty my toes looked in stockings, but enjoy the feeling of the stockings covering my silky panties. Not long after that, I snuck Mom's red dress, pantyhose, panties, a pair of her sandals, and even a bra to try for a more complete look. It was so exciting to pull on the panties, carefully slip on pantyhose and pull them up, and then slide the dress over my head. It wasn't easy putting on a bra at first. I couldn't seem to reach behind me to fasten it, but luckily read that I could put it on backwards, fasten it, and then turn it so that the cups were in front where they belong. I had run across a tip on a cross-dressing site that said to only unzip a dress far enough to get over your head, and then you could easily reach back and zip it all the way up. When I got it zipped, I couldn't believe how great it felt to have it tighten up and give me curves. I never knew I had. I carefully sat down, smoothing my skirt as I sat and carefully putting on the sandals before standing up and looking in the mirror. I loved seeing the pretty dress swish back and forth on my sexy legs and looking down at my feet. I got worked up seeing red toes peeking out of M's stockings and sandals. I felt so pretty and girly, but I just had to do something about my hands, face, and hair if I was really going to be girly. I wanted to put polish on M fingernails, but there was no way to keep people from noticing it. I wasn't ready to try makeup yet. I still thought I had a lot to learn about how to apply it, and the best I could do with my hair was to part it in the middle and give myself bangs. I spent the whole afternoon practicing walking like a girl, sitting properly in my dress, stooping to pick things up and standing with my hands nicely folded in front of me. I was having a great time and hated to stop, but Mom and Dad would be home in an hour, so the girl me had to go away. I was so sad to have to take off the dress, stockings, and heels, but I couldn't bring myself to take off my panties. I gathered the dress, stockings, and heels and quickly put them back where they belonged, promising to wear them again as soon as I could. I started paying lots more attention to the girls in my class. I wanted to make absolutely sure that I was doing everything right when I dressed up. Just like I'd read online, girls did so much different than boys. Of course, they walked, stood, and sat differently. Even when they wore slacks, they sat slowly and smoothly instead of just flopping down, like boys did, and they also seemed to use their hands differently, used words like sweet, cute, pretty, lovely, and adorable that I never thought of using. When they were in groups, they laughed and giggled a lot. There was no pushing, shoving, or yelling like boys did, and they talked in soft voices. I had a lot of work to do to be a girl, that's for sure. I studied about being a girl online and practiced every chance that I had until I was sure that I could move around in a dress every bit as well as any girl in my class. I even started sitting downstairs and watching TV and reading Mom's fashion magazines when she and Dad were working or wouldn't be home for a few hours. I was fascinated with all things girly and just couldn't be girly enough. As time went on, I got braver and braver. When it came to being a girl, I finally moved on from Mom's red dress and started wearing skirts and blouses that I didn't remember seeing her wear. Of course, I wasn't about to give up on panties, bras, and stockings, but I did graduate from sandals to heels. Sometimes I even got brave enough to try on some of her makeup. I wasn't very good with it at first, but as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. And this girl practiced her little heart out every chance she got. I was careful using Mom's makeup. I didn't want to spill any on her vanity or my clothes. If she thought I was using makeup, she'd probably shoot me. I know Dad would, since he expected me to be a rough and tough boy rather than a pretty girl. I dabbed foundation on, in spots, as I'd seen done in a video teaching girls how to put on makeup. After I got enough spots, I carefully capped the bottle of foundation and gently rubbed it in, evening it out, so I'd cover every spot on my face. Once I finished with the foundation, I brushed on some powder, and then a little blush. I chose a color of eyeshadow to match the skirt or blouse I was wearing, and then carefully took a wand for mascara and did my eyelashes. When I was all done doing my makeup, even with short hair, I thought I made a cute girl. If only I had longer hair, or if Mom had a wig, I'm sure I could be as pretty as any other girl. It took a little bit of time and a lot of work, but pretty soon, I was able to look as pretty as any girl my age. I could put together a nice outfit from Mom's closet, do my makeup, and even walk in Mom's heels. I cold, even softened my voice, as I sounded like a girl. I felt so good as a girl that sometimes, when I was all prettied up and reading a fashion magazine, I would forget that I was really a boy. I'd be sitting on the couch, reading a fashion magazine and wondering how I'd look in some of the styles. I wished I could get a magazine for teen girls, but Mom would probably freak out if I asked her for one, so I had to imagine myself as a grown woman instead of a 14-year-old boy. I loved the dressy styles with sheer sleeves and pleated skirts. I imagined wearing a dress like that. My makeup would be perfect. My legs would be so sexy in sheer stockings, spike heels that matched my dress, and I was walking into a fancy restaurant next to a handsome man who thought I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever met. I also enjoyed picturing myself as a pretty secretary in a busy office. I'd wear pretty dresses or sometimes skirt suits. I was friends with many of the other women working there, and we'd often compliment each other's outfits or latest hairstyles. At school, I often fantasized that I was a girl and had to wear the skirt, blouse, and blazer uniform that girls wore. Every morning, I'd brush my hair, put on the little bit of makeup the school allowed girls to wear. Then I'd put on my blouse, then pull on the skirt and tuck in my blouse. I'd zip up the skirt and button it before putting on a pair of knee-high socks that matched the color of my skirt. I'd step into a pair of saddle shoes, slip on my blaze, then pick up my purse and books and head off to school. I'd meet up with some of my girlfriends at the school bus stop, and we'd have a good time talking about TV shows we'd watched, homework problems, or maybe just giggling over some boy we thought was cute. We'd compare notes about the upcoming school dance, what outfits we planned to wear to it, and which boys we hoped would dance with us. Altogether, it was so different and so much better than meeting up with some other guys, talking about sports, and trading punches to see who was tougher. Everything was going along so well until one day, when I was curled up in one of Mom's pretty outfits that she wore when Dad took her out, reading a fashion magazine, and she unexpectedly walked in the door. "Robert, what in God's name are you doing?" she demanded as she looked me over from head to toe. Reading a magazine." That was probably the dumbest thing I could have said because she pulled me off the couch and made me stand while she stared at me. "Why are you wearing my clothes?" I didn't really have a good answer. "They, feel good." "Have you lost your mind? You're a 14-year-old boy. 14-year-old boys do not dress up in their mother's clothes, wear makeup, and read fashion magazines." I was terrified. Not knowing how to answer, I just stood there with my hands in front of me. "Good Lord," Mom screamed. "You're standing there just like a girl. You'd better have a good explanation for this nonsense." "I don't know, Mom." I began to cry. "It's just something I started to do a little while ago, and, I think it's kind of fun." "I'm sorry, I'll go change." "You're not going anywhere until your father gets here, young lady," she sneered. "Now, what's under that skirt?" She reached over, lifted the skirt, and sucked in her breath. "Tell me you're not wearing my stockings and panties." "I have to," I said stupidly. "I don't have any of my own." "Any of your own what?" I heard Dad ask as he came in the door. "He doesn't have any panties or stockings of his own." Mom sort of laughed. "So he decided to borrow mine." "He what? What the heck are you doing? Did Halloween come early?" "We should be so lucky," Mom answered. "He's decided that my clothes feel nicer than his, so he's been wearing them." If this is some sort of a joke. "It's not funny," Dad insisted, staring a hole right through me. Mom just shook her head. "No joke. He's wearing my dress, my panties, my bra, my stockings, my heels, and my makeup." Turning to me, she asked, "Right?" I said in a soft voice, swaying from side to side. "Oh my God," Dad exclaimed loudly. "Look at him. He even acts like a girl." "Thanks, Daddy." I smiled and curtsied. "Do I look as pretty as Mom?" "Daddy?" Dad shook his head. "No, you don't look as pretty as Mom. You're a boy, remember?" "Yeah, but once in a while, I like being a girl." I smiled. "The clothes feel so good and it makes me feel good too." "Get changed now," Mom ordered. "Leave my skirt and blouse on my bed to be cleaned. Throw those panties and bra into the wash. Wipe off that makeup and don't let us catch you like this again." I cried all the way to my room, and while I got changed, I didn't understand why Mom and Dad were so upset. I was just having fun. No one got hurt, and I always took good care of Mom's clothes. As I changed, I could hear Mom and Daddy arguing. "Did you see the way he walked?" Mom asked. "I couldn't walk in heels until I was 19. He walks like he was born in them." "We've got a major league problem here, babe," Daddy told her. "He's just too damned comfortable as a girl. How are we going to stop him?" I went to wash off my makeup so I couldn't hear any more of what they said. When I got back downstairs, Dad insisted I show him the waistband of my underwear. He seemed relieved to see that I had on my boys' underwear. That made one of us, because I missed wearing Mom's panties. Mom told me to explain why I had been wearing her clothes, how long had I been doing it, and if anyone had ever seen me as a girl. I don't know why. I just read about it one day and wondered what it would be like. So I started wearing your underwear, and then I just had to wear other things. I've been doing it for a couple of months now. I'm real careful, so I'm pretty sure no one's seen me. "Have you dressed up anywhere else?" Daddy asked. "I wore panties to school a couple of times," I said with a smile. They felt so nice, and I felt really good that I could get away with it. "Are you nuts?" His face turned beet red. "What about gym class? What if the other boys saw you?" "I have gym as my last class, Daddy, so I don't have to get undressed or take a shower." "Geez," Dad turned to Mom. "He's got everything planned out. I'm surprised he didn't try wearing one of the girls' uniforms." I once again stupidly shot off my mouth. That would have been so cool. I could pretend that I was one of the girls and wear a skirt and everything. "You're taking this awfully well." Mom sighed. "If you tried anything that's stupid, you could end up in jail." "Yeah, I know I'd get in trouble if I got caught," I sadly admitted, but it just seemed like it would be so great to wear a girl's uniform to school. "Go play ball or something," Dad told me. "Your mom and I have to figure out what we're going to do with you." I wanted to say that I hoped I could still wear Mom's pretty clothes, but something told me to keep quiet for a change, so I went looking for my friends. Playing ball or talking about movies with my friends was boring. I wanted so badly to talk about fashion, which outfits were the prettiest, which ones would we love to wear, and stuff like that, but I didn't know if they'd appreciate the feel of silky panties and stockings, or how nice it felt to spend time all prettied up. Somehow, I just had to be able to wear Mom's things again. As I sat there bored, I couldn't help but notice Linda, the little sister of one of my friends. She was wearing a light blue denim dress that buttoned down the front, had ruffles where the buttons were, and had a braided rawhide style belt. She looked so comfortable in her dress, along with the white socks that came just above her ankles, and blue sandals. She had pink polish on her toes and looked just so cute. I found myself wondering how I could get a dress like she wore. I almost told he how pretty her dress was before I realized that my friends would think that I was weird. Maybe. If they wore cute outfits like Linda, they'd understand what I meant. I just thought that girls in general, and especially little girls, had such a great choice in clothes, so much better than anything boys got to wear. They could wear denim skirts, dresses, shorts, or pants if they felt like, but boys could only wear pants or shorts, and not very fancy ones. Girls could fix their hair into a lot of different styles. Boys couldn't. Girls could play jump rope or house or dress up. I was stuck playing basketball that I was too short for, or baseball, where if I ever did hit the ball, it barely made it to the pitcher. People would see a girl in a pretty dress and give her all kinds of compliments, but they ignored me when I had to wear a suit. Every time I saw a girl, I thought about stuff like that and felt so bad that I wanted to cry. I didn't think I wanted to actually be a girl, but it would sure be nice to have people tell me how pretty I looked, or to play games that I might just be good at. I put up with those feelings for a couple of weeks until one Saturday, Mom and Daddy were going to be busy for the afternoon. No sooner did they drive off the I rush to Mom's closet, got out the red dress, a pair of panties, a bra, stockings, and heels. I didn't want to try makeup since I might not get it all off, and I didn't want to get caught dressing again. I did brush my hair to make me look a little more girly though. I felt so happy and relaxed after I finished dressing and couldn't resist posing in front of the mirror a few dozen times. I smiled at the pretty lady in the mirror, twirled, curtsied, and was having the time of my life until I saw Mom and Daddy watching me in the mirror. "Looks like the website was right," Daddy told Mom. "Once a boy gets started, he can't seem to quit." "Sad, but true," Mom agreed. "Why don't you start lunch while I get our little girl here ready?" Turning to me, she motioned towards my bathroom. "Time for a bath, Melinda." "I'm sorry, Mom," I stammered. "I'll never do it again, I promise." "You said that a few weeks ago," she shrugged. "Couldn't help yourself, Melinda, could you? You just had to get dressed up again." Yeah," I shamefully admitted. "What now, and why are you calling me Melinda?" As she unzipped the dress and helped me out of it, she explained that she and Dad had been looking up information on boys who wear girls' clothes. No one seemed to know exactly why they started, but it was pretty much sure thing that once a boy started dressing up, he'd never be able to stop. She was right on the money about how I'd been feeling since her and Daddy made me stop weeks ago. "We didn't mean to get you all upset." She smiled and helped me take off the bra. "We know how important this was to you. By the way, you're going to be Melinda, or Mindy for short, our sweet little daughter whenever you're at home. Your dad and I went shopping and bought you some pretty new outfits and even a wig for a young girl." Mom followed me into the bathroom and, to my delight, prepared a hot bubble bath with a floral scent to it. I shyly dropped the towel and stepped into the tub, loving the wonderful smell and the silky feel of the water. "Put these on when you're done," Mom said as she hung a pair of pink panties on a hook. "I'll help you get all prettied up when you come out." As she walked out, I glanced at the panties and couldn't believe what I saw. They were nothing like hers. They looked so nice but had a small circle of lace with Saturday sewn into it. Holy crap! She'd given me a pair of little girl day of the week panties. I was absolutely in heaven as I finished bathing and dried myself off. I couldn't wait to put on the panties that Mom had given me. I was sure that I'd feel twice as girly as I ever had, since no boy could ever wear such cute and dainty underwear. I walked into my room and couldn't believe my eyes. There was Mom, holding a really pretty dress with a yellow top and a yellow and black plaid skirt. On the bed lay a pair of thin yellow knee socks with a small black bow on the top. "Come on, Melinda," Mom urged. "Time to show your father what a pretty daughter he has." I just stood there with my mouth hanging open. I never imagined wearing such a beautiful dress and couldn't wait to put it on. I finally held up my arms and let Mom slide the dress over my head and adjust the hem. "It's so pretty, Mom. I just love it." I giggled as I brushed my skirt as I sat to pull on the socks. "But isn't it more for a younger girl? I mean, I am 14, you know?" "No, sweetie," Mom quickly corrected me. "Since you're so intent on seeing what it's like to be a girl, your dad and I have decided that you're now Melinda Marie, our precious 10-year-old daughter. You can grow up in the prettiest outfits any little girl could hope for, and then become a lovely young lady." My big mouth did it again. "You mean like day of the week panties and pretty dresses with matching socks?" I could hardly contain my enthusiasm. "Absolutely, sweetie," Mom said as she gave me a kiss on the head, "not to mention party dresses with sheer puffy sleeves and petticoats." "Petticoats too." I was practically crying as I threw my arms around Mom and hugged her tightly. Mom didn't have any petticoats that I could have worn, but I'd read about other boys who'd worn them and loved them. They said they felt so special and girlish when they got a chance to wear one. Mom sat me upright and began to pull my dress back over my head. "Oops, I forgot something, Mindy." Once she got my dress off, she fastened a delicate pink bra with lace trim on the cups and cute little pink rose in the center. Once she had it fastened, she lowered a silky t-shirt over it. The bra was padded, giving me a slight bust line, nowhere near the one I had after stuffing one of Mom's bras that I wore, but I still loved it. Mom helped me get back into my dress and then buckled a pair of white Mary Janes onto my feet. "Finishing touch, sweetie," she laughed as she fitted a curly strawberry blonde wig on my head and brushed it out. "I'm pretty," I giggled as I looked at myself in the mirror. "You are the prettiest little girl in the whole world," Mom said as she wiped the tears from her eyes. "How do you like being a little girl?" I thought about it for a few seconds. I enjoyed the feel of the clothes and couldn't believe how sweet and innocent I looked. I hugged Mom tight and gave her a kiss on a cheek. "I love it, Mom. I just know that I'm really going to love being a little girl." Mom took me by my hand and walked me to the kitchen where Daddy sat waiting. His eyes got real big and a smile spread across his face when he saw me. "You look so pretty, Mindy. Are you happy?" I rushed over and kissed him. "I'm so happy, Daddy. I just love being your daughter." I smoothed my skirt like a good girl and sat next to Daddy at the table. "From now on," he told me, "you'll be Melinda Marie as soon as you get home from school. When I get home from work, I'll expect to see my lovely daughter, never my son. Understood? Mom and I bought you pretty clothes, and that's what you'll wear whenever you're home or we go out." I wondered if I'd heard him right. "You want me to go out? A girl in a dress? Don't tell me you'd rather stay in the house all of the time." "Well, no, but outside as a girl?" Dad shot me a look that scared me. "You can either be Mindy and do the things that girls do, or you can forget about wearing pretty clothes and be a boy. Your choice." I was scared to death about going outside in a dress, but if I didn't, Dad would probably get rid of all of the pretty things that he and Mom had bought for me. No more pretty day of the week panties, no more training bras or silky t-shirts, no more cute dresses, no more Melinda Marie. Back to being a bored 14-year-old boy instead of having fun as a 10-year-old girl. But what if someone sees me? I sniffled. Mom used a napkin to dry my tears. "They'll see a pretty little girl who just loves wearing pretty things and becoming a young lady." "You do like wearing pretty things, don't you?" Daddy asked. I shook my head. "And you do want to be a young lady?" "Oh yes, I can't wait to grow up and wear sexy outfits, heels and stockings. I want to be a young lady so badly." "Okay then," Daddy told me. "Are you willing to go out and do things as a girl? You can go clothes shopping with Mom and try on pretty clothes. You can get all dressed up and go to dinner with us. You can even play with other girls. But if someone can tell that I'm a boy?" "We've been over that already," Daddy said sternly. "Mom and I promise that no one will ever think that you're a boy. Now, for the last time, what do you want to do?" I wanted to think it over, but I was afraid that if I did, Mom and Daddy would change their minds. "Okay," I said as happily as I felt. "I want to be Melinda Marie, a 10-year-old girl, and do all of the fun things girls do, wherever that they do them. Welcome to the family, Mindy." Daddy gave me a hug and kissed my head. After lunch, Mom and I started my girl practice. I had lessons in how girls my age moved, talked, and played, what games they liked, the kind of outfits they liked to wear. I learned all about dolls, how to play with them, how to take care of them, how to dress them, how to carry them, and how to talk to them. It felt so nice to pretend that I was a mommy and my dolls were my babies. Mommy, as I called her when I was Mindy, gave me a toy nail polish kit and toy makeup kit to play with until I was old enough for the real kits. I couldn't wait to use them and make my nails and face look real pretty. Being a little girl was going to be so much fun. I had lots and lots of things to learn before I became a teenage lady. That night, I took another bubble bath. I didn't think that I'd ever want to take a shower again. Bubble baths made me feel so special and girly. When I finished, I slipped on another pair of my day of the week panties. A pair of cute-looking socks and pulled a comfy nightgown with Disney princesses and a ruffled hem over my bed. I spent the entire weekend as Mindy, never even thinking about doing something with other boys I knew. I had to learn how to be a girl, and that was so much more important than doing silly boy things. Mommy woke me up the Monday morning for school. I felt so sad to have to go back to being a boy. I wanted to stay as a happy little girl. Luckily, I wouldn't have gym class that day, so I kept on my panties and socks, which made me feel better. At school, some boys were talking about how they spent the weekend riding bikes, playing ball, or playing video games. I didn't have anything to say. After all, they probably wouldn't understand playing with my dolls, trying on the new outfits I'd gotten, or playing with my makeup and nail polish. While they were out running around in their jeans and jerseys, I was having a great time at home in pretty dresses and lace-trimmed, silky panties, playing with my dolls and being a girl. I was having the time of my life as Mindy. There was so much to learn, so many things to try. One day, Mom came up to me while I was playing mommy to some of my dolls. "I've been wondering about a few things," she said softly. "You've been a girl for about 4 months now, right?" 4 wonderful months, 2 weeks and 3 days, I giggled. But who's counting? Don't you get bored spending all of your free time in the house? Wouldn't you like to go places? I'm having lots of fun with my dolls and trying on all of the outfits in my closet. But yeah, it would be fun to go somewhere. Can I go as Mindy? Do you still remember how to be Robert? She teased. Sort of, I teased right back, but why should I pretend to be a boy? Mom pulled me close for a hug. You shouldn't, honey. There's no good reason for you to pretend to be a boy when you're such a pretty girl. It felt so good to have Mom tell me that I was a pretty girl. No one ever paid attention to me as Robert. Maybe I'd get lots of attention as Mindy. Where could we go? I was thinking that we could go shopping for pretty outfits. Maybe get your ears pierced, see a movie, or go to that amusement park you like. You know, girl stuff? I knew Mom hated to have to repeat things, but I just had to ask. And I do this stuff as Mindy, right? Well, would Robert want to try on pretty dresses at the mall? Mom shook her head. Do you think he'd like to get his ears pierced and wear pretty earrings? How would he feel about walking around the amusement park in a denim skirt or a cute shorts set and pink sneakers? I couldn't wait to answer. Robert would probably hate it, so let's leave him at home, 'cause I just know Mindy would love to do those things. You're right, I agreed. Just us girls, right? No boys allowed, Mom said firmly. We planned to go shopping the next weekend, and one day after school, Mom told me to take a bath so she could teach me how to shave my legs. You're not very hairy, she said as she showed me how to lather my legs from my toes to my butt. But girls don't have hairy legs. I never thought I'd have to teach my son to shave his legs, but you need to know this. You're not teaching your son, I replied indignantly. I'm your daughter, Melinda Marie, remember? Mom playfully slapped me with a wash rag. Quit acting like a smartass, or I might slip with this razor and cut something off down here. And that would be such a bad idea. Why? I teased. Then I could really be Mindy. Mom shook her head as she continued shaving my legs. Maybe someday. Maybe someday. As Mom taught me how to shave my legs, I couldn't help but think that my toes looked so pretty with sparkly pink polish on the nails. I can't wait for the school year to end so I can wear polish on my fingernails too. I'm such a girl. The next day at school, I couldn't help but look at the legs of the girls. Not that I was into that sort of thing. I was comparing how smooth and hairless they were to my legs. Mom had taught me well. My legs were every bit as nice as any girl's. If only I could wear a uniform skirt to school and show them off. When Saturday finally arrived, I was so excited that I could barely eat breakfast. Daddy just couldn't resist teasing me. Why not forget the shopping nonsense and go fishing with me? Shopping is not nonsense, I firmly argued. It's real important to find just the right outfit. Something pretty that fits just right. Makes me look so pretty, and you won't think that I spent too much on it. Daddy looked at Mom and pretended to be mad. You've turned my son into a girl. Mom threw her arms out like she was surrendering. It was his idea, remember? It's okay. I rushed to defend Mom. She's right. It was my idea to dress up, and it's fun being a girl. I'm glad Mom has been able to help make a girl out of me. There were so many things I didn't know how to do, and she showed me. Mom had an "I told you so" look on her face, up until I started talking again. This week he showed me how to shave my legs, put stuff on them to keep them nice and smooth, and she even taught me how to put a pad in my panties. Daddy shot a nasty look at Mom. You're kidding, right? Isn't that carrying things a bit far? She'll never need a pad. Mom said I need to do everything girls do so that I can talk to other girls about them. She even gave me a pad to keep in my purse. Frankenstein's monster, Daddy muttered under his breath. Our lovely daughter's mom quickly corrected him. After breakfast, Mom and I hurried to my room to get dressed. Why are you undressing in front of me? I asked as Mom pulled her nightgown over her head and put on a bra. Why not? She answered, as if seeing her boobs was no big deal. You're my daughter. What's wrong with me getting changed in front of you? Maybe someday I'll teach you how to wear a bra too. I felt kind of confused. Technically, I was still Robert, her son, but I felt like Mindy, her daughter. I guess nothing. Don't just stand there. Start getting dressed, she ordered. Do you need help with your bra? I'd been wearing a bra every day for months and had gotten to where I could even reach behind me and fasten it. No thanks, I can handle it, I said proudly as I rooted through my drawer to pick out one that would work with the purple top I planned to wear. I made sure that Mom was watching as I casually pulled on the bra and then reached behind me and fastened it against me. I carefully pulled it down in front and adjusted the padded cups so that they'd push my top out just perfectly. That looks very pretty on you, sweetheart, Mom said as I pulled on my top and then a black skater skirt that ended just above my knees. You're going to drive the boys crazy when you get a little older. Once again, I felt confused. Was this just a silly game I was playing, pretending to be a girl? It felt so good to wear pretty clothes and even play with my dolls, but how long should I continue? It sure sounded like Mom planned on my growing up to be a pretty teenage girl, but what did I want to do with my life? As I stepped into my skirt, I wondered if I could possibly ever really be a boy. Seeing my top being pushed out by my padded bra excited me, and I was definitely getting a huge rush from seeing my soft hair-free legs sticking out of my skirt, and the yellow socks looked perfect as they flowed into the white and pink sneakers I was wearing. At night, I took a perfumed bubble bath that left my skin feeling very silky as I slipped on a pair of my panties, lowered one of my lace-trimmed nightgowns decorated with baby animals over my head, and climbed into bed. Mom waited patiently as I put on my wig and then brushed it into my usual curly style. Of course, when she finished, I was a cute little girl, and there was no sign on a teenage boy. As we were driving to the mall, I found myself once again wondering if I could go back to being just a regular boy. I wasn't sure how regular I'd be, since even when I'm not Mindy, I don't look at girls the way other boys do. Instead, I look at their outfits, their hair, and their makeup, and wonder how I'd look done up like they were. Where are we going, Mom? I asked when I stopped daydreaming and realized that we should be at the mall by now. I thought we'd go to the Norwood Mall. They have pretty much the same stores, and we're not likely to run into anyone we know there. Even if we do, your dad's niece Mindy, out for a shopping trip with her Aunt Barb. Will they have shops that cater to girls my age? I asked hopefully. 'Cause the Richmond Mall has Young at Heart, and they sell some of the prettiest dresses for young girls. They have a store at Norwood, Mom explained. And at Claire's too. Claire's. That's not a clothes store. No, but it is a jewelry store that caters to young girls. Mom grinned. Today, my little girl is getting her ears pierced. My smile must have went from one side of the car to the other. Oh boy, I can't wait to wear pretty earrings. Most girls my age have been wearing them since they were in prayer school. You're right. You should have had them done years ago, but better late than never, right? If you weren't driving, I'd give you a great big kiss. I told her. I'll be able to wear earrings that match my outfits. I nearly ran to the Claire store as soon as we got into the mall. When we got there, though, I couldn't believe it. My Aunt Jan and her daughter Charlotte were sitting on a bench right in front of the store. I turned to run away, but Charlotte grabbed me, picked me up, and began swinging me around. Don't run off, Mindy, she pleaded. My mom's told me all about my pretty new cousin, and I just couldn't wait to meet you. Please put mine down. Those boys will be able to look up my skirt. You really are a girl. She laughed as she put me back on the ground, worried about boys looking up your skirt. God thinking though, Mandy, boys can be such pigs. With nowhere to hide, I hoped to trick Charlotte into thinking this was all Mom's dumb idea. Who knows? It might have worked had I not straightened out my skirt and pulled my bra straps back onto my shoulders. You look very pretty, Mindy. Aunt Jan complimented me. Did you pick out that skirt? It turns out that I'm a sucker for a compliment. I shook my head and flipped my skirt. It's from Young Miss at the Richmond Mall. As soon as I saw it, I just had to have it. It's just to die for, and it goes so well with so many of my tops. Aunt Jan just looked at Charlotte. You were such a tomboy when you were her age. Where's Robbie? Charlotte suddenly asked. He's sort of on vacation. I couldn't help but giggle. He'd just be in the way when I look for pretty outfits. Aunt Jan gave me a kiss on the cheek and turned to Mom. How about we go to the food court where the girls can talk and you can tell me what happened to Robbie? No, we can't go yet, I begged her. I want to get my ears pierced and pick out some pretty earrings. Cripes, Charlotte giggled. Can you be any more of a girl? I was amazed at her question. How could she have read my mind? I absolutely, positively wanted to be more of a girl. I'm going to try. Bet on it. Mom just looked at Aunt Jan and shook her head. It was all his dad's idea to get him to stop dressing up. Something called aversion therapy. We thought that by forcing him to spend every free minute as a girl, instead of a boy, he'd want to give it up. No baseball, no hanging out with his friends, just doing what a girl does. And not a girl his age, but a young girl, one who still plays with dolls, wears day-of-the-week panties, takes bubble baths, the works. Sounds like that would make any boy get up, my aunt agreed. Not this one, Mom laughed. He took to it like a duck to water. Nothing was too girly. Frilly panties, lacy camisole, little girl tights, dresses with petticoats. Nothing. He took to them all like a duck to water. I was sure that getting pierced ears would be a major turnoff, but you can see he loves the idea. Come on, we're wasting time. I told them, Charlotte and I can go shopping once I get my ears pierced. Mom just looked at Aunt Jan and shrugged. The four of us hurried into Claire when I made a beeline for the earrings. A friendly saleswoman asked if she could help me. I smiled at her. I want to get my ears pierced so I can wear pretty earrings. She patted me on my head. That's a good idea, honey. How old are you? I'm 10, I said proudly. So you're getting to be a big girl now and want big girl earrings, right? Oh yeah. I saw some pretty ones that I can't wait to wear. The lady smiled and asked which one of our group was my mom. You'll need to sign a permission slip. The piercing will only take a minute. We'll do both ears at once, and she'll have a pair of cute keepers to wear to keep the holes open. In a couple of weeks, she'll be able to wear regular earrings like a big girl. Charlotte started to giggle, but stopped when I gave her a dirty look. Mom signed the form, and another sales lady came over to help. After a few minutes, I felt something pressing against my ears and then pop. I had a pretty gold ball in each ear. "Can I get some earrings now, Mom? Please." "Okay," Mom sighed. "Maybe Charlotte can help you pick some pretty ones." Charlotte and I spent several minutes picking out the cutest earrings they had. I got a couple of Mickey Mouse style, not a lot since I was a big girl. We got me some pretty ones that looked like pink and blue diamonds, and a pair that were heart-shaped. While we were at it, we also picked out some cute plastic bracelets to match some of my dresses. We left Claire's and went to a food court, where instead of my usual double quarter-pound cheeseburger with everything under the sun piled on it, I ordered a kid's meal that came with a Disney princess. "You're really into this, aren't you?" Charlotte asked bluntly. "I mean, you really think of yourself as a little girl." "I am a little girl," I pouted, causing her to start laughing. "Boys don't wear pretty outfits to the mall, and boys don't get their ears pierced so they can wear pretty earrings, and boys don't wear pretty earrings, and boys don't wear pretty day-of-the-week panties or play with dolls, do they?" Charlotte leaned in close and whispered, "A little birdie told me and my mom that you like to wear dresses with petticoats in them, and you wear tights that match your dresses." "I love petticoats. They make me feel extra girly in my dresses, and matching tights make my outfit even prettier." "Don't you miss spending time with your friends?" Charlotte wondered. "Not really," I said without a moment's wait. "They made fun of me for being short and not being good at sports. If I could, I'd rather spend time with our sisters talking about clothes and playing with our Barbies." Maybe Charlotte wasn't convinced that I really thought of myself as a girl because she dared me to go shopping with her and try on outfits that she'd choose. "They'd better be pretty ones," I warned her. "And I'm not going to try on any boys' things either." Our first stop was a dream come true for me, a store known for selling the girliest outfits imaginable. I practically ran into the store, leaving everyone else rushing to catch up. I found the prettiest dress ever on the very first rack I came to. It had a white top that was covered in with lines of pale blue beads and had sleeves that barely came past my shoulders. The light blue skirt came just to my knees and was made the same sheer fabric that I loved. It had what Mom said was a white underskirt to keep anyone from seeing through it, and several layers of fluffy petticoats. "Can I get this, Mom? I'll love you forever." "It is pretty, and I'm sure you'd be beautiful wearing it, sweetheart, but it's a flower girl dress for a wedding, not something a girl would wear otherwise." "See?" I turned to Charlotte, tears forming in my eyes. "Girls are so lucky. They get to wear pretty dresses like this while boys have to wear pants and shirts." "Don't worry, Mindy," she said soothingly. "When I get married, I'll let you help me pick out my gown and the bridesmaids' dresses. I want the girls to look so pretty their partners will want to carry them off and marry them." I felt a little better, but still dreamed of wearing that dress. Charlotte did her best to get me to back down from acting like a girl, but it was a total waste of time. Every time she chose a dress that was extra frilly, I thanked her and rushed off to the dressing room to try it on. After almost 20 different dresses, Charlotte finally admitted that I really was a girl. The sad thing was, though, that Mom couldn't afford the dresses I tried on, and I had no place to wear them. We went to a couple of more stores in the mall, and I had such a good time shopping and trying on pretty outfits that I hated to leave. "How about Mindy and I come back tomorrow and go skating?" Charlotte suggested. "We might run into some cute boys." "She can skate with you if she likes." Mom laid down the law, "but she'd better skate. I don't want you girls pairing off with a couple of boys sticking your tongues down each other's throats. Mindy's still too young for that sort of thing." "I'll be a good girl, I promise, Mom. I would have promised anything to go skating as a girl." "Do you have another skirt like that at home?" Charlotte asked, pointing at the skirt I was wearing. I smiled and waited a few seconds. "It's pink." Charlotte just smiled at me. "Naturally. I'll lend you a pair of my Spanx so you won't show off your panties if your skirt flips up. They're white and will go perfectly with your pin skirt." I smiled and gave her a hug. "Thanks, Charlotte. This means so much to me. It scares me to be all dressed up around other kids, but I can't wait to do it." "Don't worry." Charlotte returned my hug. "No one in their right mind would ever think that you're really a boy." She noticed that Mom and Aunt John were too far away to be able to hear her. "I want to see my pretty cousin get her first kiss." She whispered to me, "Do you think you'd be brave enough to let a boy kiss you?" That was a good question. I thought I might be brave enough to hold a boy's hand while we did a couple skate, but letting a boy kiss me was awfully scary. I don't know." I stuttered. "I've never kissed a boy before. Heck, I've only kissed one girl, and that was plain spin the bottle. All you have to do is hold still and let the boy kiss you if he wants to. I'm betting that since you're so cute, a boy would be nuts not to want to kiss you." Thoughts of skating hand in hand with a boy suddenly popped in my pretty little head. It would be fun to have a boy hold my hand and tell me that I was fun to skate with. We'd do a single lap around the rink, and sudden, a slow song would come on. He'd pull me close and we'd smile at each other. When the song ended, he'd look down at me and give me a little peck on my lips. "Hello, Mindy," Charlotte called out. "You want a boy to kiss you, don't you?" I shook my head. "I'm not sure. I'm having a great time pretending to be a girl, but kissing another boy is a big jump." "Not really," she insisted. "Face it, you may have started out pretending to be a girl, but no boy would rush to get his ears pierced and pick out pretty earrings. No boy would have been so happy to get a Disney princess doll at that burger place. No boy would have been as excited as you were over that flower girl dress. And no boy would be smiling at the thought of being kissed by a cute boy he was skating with." "But I'm only 10 years old," I tried to say. "Old enough for a little kiss," Charlotte said forcefully. "No more arguments. If you're lucky, you're going to get a little push on your way to being a girl." I turned my head slightly, hoping she wouldn't see the smile on my face. When I got home that night, I took my bubble bath, saved my legs like a good girl, and then put on a pair of my pretty panties and a Cinderella nightgown that I loved to wear. It was pink, of course, had puffy sleeves, and a ruffled hem that made me feel like a princess. I gathered my dolls and told them all about going to the mall, getting my ears pierced, and all of the pretty dresses I got to try on. My dolls were all happy to hear about my adventure in Girlland, and were excited when I told them how I was going skating with Charlotte the next day, and how I might get a chance to hold hands and skate with a boy. Mom walked in as I was telling my doll all about skating with Charlotte. "You were having a great time tonight, weren't you?" "It was so fun," I told her as I gave her a hug. "Thank you for taking me." I seemed to have gotten addicted to hugging Mom and Daddy. It was something Bob hadn't done in years, but it made me feel so good to do it. "You've become quite the sweet little girl since your dad and I put you in dresses," Mom said as she hugged me back. "It was supposed to be sort of a punishment for wearing my clothes, to make you so tired of having to be a girl that you'd never want to dress up again." What went wrong? I stared at her for a little bit before I could answer. "I don't think that anything went wrong. Wearing your clothes was fun. They felt nice compared to my clothes, but wearing my new panties and dresses feels even better. I can't tell you how nice it feels to wear pretty dresses, tights and silky underwear. I used to think that girls were stupid for playing with dolls, but now I love being a mommy and taking care of my baby dolls." "You don't have to explain, sweetheart," Mom said as she gave me another hug. "I was a little girl once too, remember? I loved it when your grandmother would get me all dressed up for a birthday party. I'd pretty panties just like yours, a camisole that had lace on the neck and sleeves, and a petticoat that made my skirt stick out. I'd wear socks that matched the color of my dress. They were thin, and when she folded down the tops, there was a band of lace that made me feel all pretty and special. My dress would be sheer at the top so you could see my camisole and the straps of my petticoat. Listening to Mom was making me all excited. You were so lucky. I wish I could get all dressed up like that. Mom gently pushed me away and gave me a weird look. I'm sorry, but you're a boy and boys shouldn't wear pretty dresses and play with dolls. If any of your friends saw you in a dress, especially a fancy one for little girls or playing with your dolls, they'd make fun of you and call you a sissy. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you? But they wouldn't call me a sissy if I looked a girl. Right? They'd probably think that I was just some little girl and ignore me. Mom seemed upset and shook her head. But you're a boy. Boys shouldn't want to look like pretty girls. I make a horrible boy. I told her as tears ran down my cheeks. I hate sports. I'm afraid to climb trees. I fall off my bike when I ride it, and other boys already call me a sissy. I like playing with my dolls. I like taking bubble baths. I'm getting real good playing with the makeup and nail polish kits you gave me, and I love wearing pretty dresses and stuff. Mom pulled me back into a hug. Your dad and I just don't know what to do with you, Mindy. You could let me be a girl, I suggested as nicely as I could. I wouldn't mind at all, and I promised to be the sweetest daughter that you and Daddy could ever want. You could dress me up like Grandma, dress you and take me shopping. You could teach me how to clean the house, to cook, to make cookies, and all the other stuff that girls learn from their moms. I'm sure your mom would love that. I heard Daddy say from behind Mom, wouldn't you, dear? Mom was practically in tears. More than you could imagine, she told him. I've always wanted a little girl to dress up and teach things that my mom taught me. I'm just worried about how things might turn out. I mean, are we doing the right thing? Daddy just shook his head. We tried everything we could think of. I took him to ball games, tried to teach him how to catch, to throw a football, and everything my dad taught me, but nothing helped. As soon as he became Mindy, though, everything changed. Mindy is the perfect little girl, and I could see her becoming a young lady we'd be proud of. I think we should go ahead and let her spend the summer with Jan and Charlotte. That's not going to be easy, Mom told him. She'll have to give up all of the things she's come to love. I can spend the summer with Aunt Jan and Charlotte. I was thrilled. I can't wait to pack. Can my baby dolls come with me? Daddy looked at Mom and shook his head. I think you two have to talk. Mom told me that she, Daddy, and Aunt Jan had decided to have me spend my summer vacation with Aunt Jan and Charlotte as Mindy, to see if being a girl was really right for me. I was going to tell them that it was, but I didn't want to take chance on messing up spending my vacation as Mindy. The thing was, Mom explained, that I couldn't do it as a 10-year-old girl. Her and Daddy were sure I could easily be a little girl. They wanted to find out if I could actually be a teenage girl because I might have to be Mindy when school started again and I would be in high school, not elementary school. Mom went on to tell me things that started to upset me. I couldn't take my dolls, my pretty dresses, or even my pretty panties. Luckily for me, she got to the good part before I started to cry like a little baby. Charlotte and her friends are all 15, and a 10-year-old wouldn't be able to fit in with them, so you're going to be a 14-year-old who will be every bit as pretty, sweet, and lovable as you are now. We're going to buy you clothes for a teenager. Jeans, tops, shorts, shoes, and everything else a girl your age would wear. Unfortunately, teenage girls don't wear dresses very often, especially not the fancy ones that you wear. You're going to like the big girl panties you'll wear, though. Some of them are real sexy and will make you feel all grown up. You'll wear jeans and shorts most of the time, a denim skirt if you like, and when you do wear a dress, you'll get to wear stockings too. My heart was pounding in my nightgown. Stockings! I can't wait. They feel much nicer than tights. You're going to a young lady for the next 3 months. Dad took over the explanation. When you come home, your mom and I will decide what will happen then. We don't know how we'll be able to explain that Bobby's gone and Melinda took his place. How do you feel about wearing a girl's uniform to school?" I raced over, hugged, and kissed him for a couple of minutes. "Somehow, I thought you might like that." "Oh, I will. I promise I will." The next morning, I hurried down to breakfast. I had to make sure I didn't just dream about spending my whole summer as a teenage girl. "Am I still going to Aunt Jane's next month?" "And a cheery good morning to you too, sweetie," Daddy said as he pulled me close for a kiss. "I love you, Daddy." I practically shuddered as I showered him with kisses. "Am I your girl?" Mom pretended to be upset. "I thought you were my girl. I guess I have to call your aunt and tell her that you decided not to come." "Please don't do that. I'll be your girl too." I held my little finger out to her. "Please let me go." Before he stopped hugging me, Daddy had to ask me what he said was an important question. "You're absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, positive that you want to spend the whole summer as a girl. You'll have to dress and act like a girl all of the time." I held out my little finger to him. "I'll pinky swear if you want me to. I'm so excited about it. I just can't believe I'm going to be a girl all summer long. It's just the best thing I could ever imagine." "We're just kidding," Mom told me with a smile. "We're going to miss our pretty little Mindy. You better behave for your aunt. Otherwise, you're going back to being Bobby." Now that scared me. "I'll be good, I promise. Please don't make me be Bobby. I want to be Mindy forever." I was a good girl. Finished my breakfast, helped Mom with the dishes, and then went with her to start getting ready to go skating. Of course, I picked my pink skater skirt. What better to skate in than a pretty skirt? A white jersey that you could see my bra straps through, a pair of plain white panties just in case anyone might see them, and pink socks that just came above my ankles. Mom brushed out a wig and put some sort of glue on it to make sure it didn't come off while I was skating. She then brushed it to take out the pigtails and fixed it into a real cute ponytail. "One last thing," she said as she applied something to my lips. "You're old enough to wear a little bit of gloss. Now, look in the mirror." I looked at the pretty girl, ready to have a day of fun in the mirror. It was going to be the best day I ever had. I just knew it. "I can't wait until I'm old enough to wear makeup. I want to look as pretty as you do." Of course, that earned me another hug and kiss. I never got hugs and kisses as Bob, but as Mindy, I got him by the bunches and I loved it. 15 is old enough for a girl to wear a little makeup. Mom winked. "You'll let me wear it at Aunt Jan's?" "Really?" "You'll drive the boys crazy." I was sure that I died and went to heaven. "I can date boys too?" "Not many girls are going to want to date you. They'll be jealous because you'll be the prettiest girl anywhere." I practically floated downstairs when it was time to leave. Of course, Dad got a bunch of kisses and hugs before I went to the garage to get into the car. Mom stopped me as I was about to hop in. "You're not a little girl anymore. It's time you learned how to act like a young lady." She showed me how to carefully scoop my skirt and gently slide in. Once in, I gently pulled my skirt down and smoothed it out before putting on my seatbelt. Of course, I just had to reach up and look at myself in the mirror. It felt so good to see a pretty girl looking back at me. When we got to the mall, Aunt Shawn and Charlotte were waiting at the skating rink. "You're so pretty," my aunt told me. "You're going to be a beautiful young lady." Before I could thank her, Charlotte grabbed me and we started giggling, hugging and jumping up and down like I'd seen girls do. It was so fun to do things like a girl. Boys never did anything like we were doing. After we finished hugging, Charlotte pulled me to where we'd get skates. I chose a pair of white ones with a pin tassel. My cousin Bobby never would have never picked them, Charlotte joked as I pulled on my skates. I grinned and stuck out my tongue. "Bobby was a boy. I'm a girl." "You sure are," she teased back. "You're way more fun than Bobby was. He never wanted to go shopping, and I can't picture him in that pretty skirt you're wearing." Skating with Charlotte was so much fun. She treated me like I was her little sister, sometimes holding my hand and always telling me how well I skated. I was having a terrific time until I felt the need to use the bathroom. "I need to use the bathroom," I whispered. "What should I do?" Charlotte just looked at me and laughed. "Is my pretty little cousin afraid to go potty?" I've never been to the girls' bathroom, and yes, I am afraid. I could get in trouble going in there. She squeezed my hand. "It's okay. You're a girl now. Mindy, girls use the girls' bathroom. Don't worry though. Girls go to the bathroom together, so I'll come with you." I squeezed her hand back. "You're such a sweetie. Did I ever tell you that?" "No, you never did. But you weren't my favorite girl cousin before. It's kinda like the little sister I never had." "I wish I could be your little sister," I said, nearly starting to cry. "We could play with my dolls and go shopping and have lots of fun. You're gonna spend the summer with me and Mom, right? Just think, a whole summer as Mindy. We can go shopping and swimming, and I'll introduce you to all of my friends." I was so excited about being Mindy all summer that I didn't realize that I was in the girls' bathroom. I carefully made my way to a stall, lifted my skirt, pulled down the Spanx Charlotte had lent me, then pulled down my panties, sat down, and did my business. When I finished, I carefully pulled up my panties and Spanx and adjusted my skirt. I'd been to bathrooms more times than I could remember, but never to a girl's bathroom, and of course never as a girl. It just seemed so right once I got out of the stall to smooth out my skirt and look at myself in the mirror. I was a girl standing next to other girls who were doing the same things that I was doing. "That's such a pretty skirt," the girl standing next to me said. "You look good in pink." This was great. A girl in the bathroom thought I was another girl and complimented me on my skirt. "My mom bought it for me at Dillard's," I said proudly, swishing my skirt back and forth to show it off. "I have a black one just like it, but I think this one's prettier." "You look good in pink," the girl told me. "I'll be that if you wore a pink top with the black skirt. You'd look so pretty." "Thanks," I told her, thrilled with the compliment. "I like your jeans. They look real comfy." "Yeah, they are." She laughed, running her hand along the jeans. "I can't wear skirts like yours to skate. I'd fall down and the boys would get to see my panties." I lifted my skirt and showed her my Spanx. "Have your mom buy you some of these. They come in lots of pretty colors. You could match the skirt you wear, and boys wouldn't see anything but them." "Boys are so strange," she said, causing us to break into a fit of giggles. Susie, my new friend, was thrilled with my advice and promised to ask her mom to buy Spanx and skater skirts for her so she could look pretty when she came skating. I saw Charlotte shoot me a thumbs up in the background. "You're the sweetest thing," she said when we went back to skating. "It was so nice of you to help that other girl." I couldn't keep from giggling. "You said other girl." I got a dumb look for that. "You're a girl, my little sister. You were in the girls' bathroom. What did you expect me to say?" "Never mind," I grinned. I liked the sound of it, that's all. By the end of the afternoon, I was completely worn out. I hated to have to do it, but Charlotte and I took off our skates and turned them in. My first day skating as Mindy was over. Now it was time to go back home. I couldn't wait to be Mindy for the whole summer. Once we got home, Mom and Daddy insisted that we sit down and talk about what I could expect for the summer. Of course, 10-year-old Mindy was out. I would be a 15-year-old girl and would be expected to dress and act like one. No more frilly dresses and pigtails. I'd wear shorts, jeans, or denim skirts, and since Aunt Jan ran a beauty parlor, she'd add extensions to give me shoulder-length hair that could be put into different styles. Day of the week, panties were out, replaced by my pretty nylon hip hugger and bikini panties. Mom and Aunt Jan had done some shopping while I was skating, and when she showed me some of the things they'd bought, I nearly fell out of my chair. There were about 24 pairs of panties, many of them nothing but lace and all of the rest being nylon. These should make you feel all pretty and feminine, Mom told me as I practically slobbered over them. But just to make sure you're all girl, you'll have these too. She gave me another bag containing lace panties and matching bras. I love you, I managed to say while breathing harder than I'd ever done before. I can't wait to wear these. After recovering from my sexy new underwear, I was told that I would be expected to shave my legs and armpits several times a week to fit in with other girls, and to use a gentle shampoo and conditioner on my hair. Once in a while, Aunt Jan would take me and Charlotte out for dinner or someplace special, and I would have to wear a dress, stocking, and heels. You're not exactly well built for a boy your age, she told me, but we'll fix that. She reached into a bag and pulled out what looked like a pair of breasts. Without another word, she put what she said was a type of glue on them and had me hold them tightly to my chest. When I let go, I had a pair of breasts jutting from my chest. I was no competition for Dolly Parton, but Mom said that they were just right for my age and size. She showed me how to put my bra back on and fastened it to hold my new breasts just right. It was embarrassing to have Mom explain how to push my testicles back up into my groin and carefully push my penis so it was mostly inside of me. When I managed to get the gaffy hickey on and pull up my panties, all traces of Mr. Happy and the boys were gone. She gripped the tube of glue and looked down at my crotch. Since I have it, I might as well use it. Take off your panties. The next thing I knew, she was spreading glue where my testicles had been pushed back into my groin and where my penis was covered by extra skin. Now you'll be able to get undressed in front of other girls, and they'll never notice anything different about you. You'll just be one of the girls. She pointed me to the mirror on my closet door. Now, pull up your panties and take a look. Girl enough for you. I didn't know what to say. I saw a cute girl standing there in just a bra and panties. There was no sign of any boy parts, just smooth panties and a nice-looking chest. I'll bet Charlotte's going to love having a little sister, Mom said as she wiped tears from her eyes. Please be careful this summer. If anyone finds out you're really a boy, you could get hurt. I promised to be careful and to be the best girl possible. After school and weekends from then till classes ended were filled with teaching me to be a teenage girl. Walking, talking, dressing, everything a girl did, I did. No more pretty little girl dresses for me. It was strictly teen fashions, including heels, which since I had experience from when I first started dressing, I was able to walk in without a problem. The only part of learning to be a teen girl that I didn't like was learning all about having periods. Mom said that it was something every girl had to deal with, so I had to know about them too. When Mom and Dad drove me to Aunt Jan's house, I was almost shaking from fear and excitement. I'd spent months dreaming of being a girl, and now my dreams were going to come true. I just hoped that Charlotte's friends would accept me as another girl. "How's my little sister?" Charlotte called out as soon as I walked into her house. I managed a weak smile. Scared. Very scared. She held my hands out and looked me over. Relax, sis. You're even cuter than when we went skating. This is going to be an awesome summer. Charlotte will help you put your things away, and then we'll work on your hair. Aunt Jan told me. Say goodbye to your mom and dad, and let's get going. I kissed Mom and Daddy goodbye, and followed Charlotte to a room decorated for a teen girl. The room was painted lilac, had a pretty flower arrangement on the dresser, a 4-poster bed with a lilac canopy, pink sheets, and a white carpet. There was a bulletin board on the wall with several pictures of young guys from movies and TV shows, some of them shirtless. Aunt Jan had even set up a small vanity with some makeup, cologne that girls at school used, and even a small earring holder. I started putting away my panties while Charlotte watched. Your mom asked me what to get you. She grinned like a Cheshire cat. I suggested sexy lace, ones to make you feel all pretty and girly. I pulled up the hem of my skirt to show her the blue lace bikini panties I was wearing. Thanks, I love feeling that way. After getting all of my stuff put away, we hurried to let Aunt John fix my hair. You're going to be a real doll when I get done with you, she promised as she shampooed and conditioned my hair. I hope you really understand that you may not be able to be Bobby again. You've spent a lot of time as Mindy, learning how to be a girl when you should have been learning to be a boy. I suck at boy stuff. I'd rather wear pretty dresses and play with my dolls than do stuff that boys do. You're not going to be wearing many dresses this summer. Girls don't wear them if they don't have to, and you're too old to be playing with dolls. I'll miss my pretty dresses and my dolls. I sighed. I loved playing dress up and having tea parties with my dolls. There's more to being a girl than dresses and dolls, my aunt explained as she worked on my hair. If you stick it out till the end of summer, your parents are going to have to make some changes. You won't be a boy anymore. You probably won't even remember how to be one. She must have noticed the smile that had spread across my face. It's not going to be as simple as pretty dresses and baby dolls were, she scolded. You have to learn to get along as a girl. It's going to be a lot different than it was for you as a boy. Your mannerisms will be every bit as important as the clothes you wear. If anyone realizes that you're really a boy, Charlotte's reputation will be ruined. You'd better be her sweet little cousin Mindy for both your sakes. Don't worry, Aunt Jen. I'll be a real good girl. I promise. This means so much to me. I'm finally going to see what it's like to be a girl. My aunt kissed my cheek. You certainly are going to see what it's like, sweetheart. And I have no doubt that you're going to enjoy every minute of this summer. When my aunt finished with my hair, she put it into a ponytail that made me look so cute. I liked the way I looked with my little girl wig, but this was so different. I now looked every bit like a teenage girl, and a pretty one at that. I gave my aunt a big hug as I thanked her, and then ran off to find Charlotte. It was loads of fun meeting Charlotte's friends. I got tons of compliments, and of course, like a good girl, I complimented them back. They were all so nice to me. Charlotte told them that she considered me to be her little sister, which they all thought was so sweet. I had a great summer, spending time with Charlotte and her friends and learning more about how to be a girl. We spent hours talking about outfits we liked, movies we liked, and boys we liked. Especially boys we liked. Obviously, I couldn't say much about boys, never having really noticed how cute they were, but after listening to what the other girls thought made boy cute, I found myself thinking about some of the boys I went to school with, and I couldn't seem to help but think that they were cutie pies, as my girlfriends call them. Tom Jenkins, who was in my homeroom, had muscles in his arms that made me think of how nice it would be to have him hold me tight. Dan Richards had lips that I wanted to have pressed against mine as I ran my fingers through his wavy hair. Mike Johnson was on the school football team. I got shivers down my spine thinking of how he could pick me up, swing me around, and tell me that I was the prettiest girl he'd ever met. Chloe, one of my new friends, noticed the faraway look in my eyes. "Wanna tell us about the boys you're thinking of?" I couldn't help myself. I started going into detail about the guys I thought were cute, what made them cute, and how I wanted to have them hug me and stick their tongues down my throat while we were kissing. "Does your mom know you're crushing on those guys?" Charlotte asked, shocked at what I just said. "Oh no," I giggled. "Her and Daddy think I'm their precious little girl who still wants to play with dolls. I don't know what they'd do if they found out that the dolls I really want to play with are named Tom, Dan, and Mike." "I'll never tell." She pinky swore. "Sisters have to stick together." "Right," one of the girls added. "My older sister tells me all about the things she does with guys, but I'd never tell our parents. They'd never let her date again. Little girl dresses and baby dolls are fun." I couldn't help but giggle. But I'll bet that big boys are a lot more fun, and I can't wait to find out. Suddenly, I felt sick. I'd just told a bunch of girls that I had crushes on other boys and couldn't wait to be a girl with them. What was I thinking, and what would my parents do if they ever found out that I had feelings like that for boys? I mean, other boys. I was just fooling around with Mom's clothes, and the next thing I knew, I was their precious little daughter, all sugar and spice, and now I'm a teen girl for the whole summer. I wasn't sure what to do. I couldn't tell the girls that I was just kidding, that I was really a boy pretending to be a girl. Besides, I really enjoyed being Mom and Daddy's precious little daughter. I loved the pretty dresses, the petticoats, and the panties. Playing with dolls was so much fun, and I missed it. Maybe worst of all was that I actually did want to suck face with boys. Not other boys since I was a girl, but cute boys who enjoyed being boys and liked sucking face with cute girls like me. How about we go skating on Saturday? Chloe suggested. Saturday afternoons are usually good times to hunt for cute guys. I was so excited I nearly jumped up and danced. Fantastic! I'm going to be a boy hunter. My mom will never let you keep what you catch, Charlotte quickly added. I've asked a bunch of times, promised to take good care of them and all that, but she won't let me do it. I pretended to pout. Oh well, it'll be a big loss for the boys, but I'll try to keep them happy. We all agreed to get together on Saturday to hunt boys. At least that's what Charlotte and I told her mom. She readily agreed to drive us, and we were sure that she had no idea what we'd planned, until as we walked away, she called out to us, "Happy hunting, girls, but remember, you can't keep what you catch." Our mouths nearly hit the floor. I was a teenage girl once too. Remember? Aunt Jan laughed. And in case you're wondering, Mindy, your parents have agreed to let you do some boy hunting, but only in a group. You're still too young to date alone. Charlotte and I hurried off to my room to plan for our hunting trip. You'd better not be pulling our legs, Charlotte cautioned. Come Saturday, you're going to be one of the girls hunting boys. If you embarrass me in front of my friends, I'll ask Mom to send you home, and you can go back to your petticoats and baby dolls. I hurried to set her straight. Honestly, the only legs I'm interested in pulling are on boys. It's kind of surprise to me, but all of a sudden, I'm totally into boys. I want to skate with them, go to movies with them, and everything else girls do with boys. My baby dolls were fun, and I loved wearing petticoats, but now I just have to see what it's like to be a girlfriend to a cute boy. Charlotte broke up laughing. I'm still amazed that my nerdy cousin Bobby was really a cute boy crazy girl. What happened? You went from jeans and sneakers to petticoats and Mary Janes, and now you're all anxious to cuddle up with a boy. Hey, I'm just as confused as you are. I shook my head. Something changed when Mom and Daddy started treating me like a little girl. I was never happy as a boy, but now I just need to be a girl. Charlotte did he best to make me feel better by telling me that I was a pretty and very sweet girl that she was happy to have as a cousin and little sister. Then it was time to plan for the skating trip. No skating skirt this time, little sister. We just wear jeans and tops. I was really disappointed. I loved wearing my skirt since it made me feel all pretty and girly. Charlotte seemed to sense my disappointment. Tight jeans that show off our butts and tops that attract attention to our boobs, of course. Talk about a letdown. But Mom and Daddy probably think I'm an angel. I probably don't have jeans or tops like that. Your mother was no angel, and she doesn't expect her daughter to be one either. Aunt Shan said as she walked into my room, "Trust me, you have the right outfits to get a boy's attention." She went through my jeans and tops until she found just the right jeans and a top. "Get changed," she ordered. "Let's see how much of an angel you're not." I took the clothes and headed for the bathroom to change, but Charlotte stopped me dead. "Mom said change. Now change. There aren't any boys here to worry about, so get busy." I undid my jeans and slid them down. "Oh no," Aunt Charlotte said as I reached for the ones she'd chosen. "Get those panties off. You don't go boy hunting in briefs." You want to feel all hot and sexy? Put on a pair of your lace bikini panties. Charlotte handed Em a pair of her lace thong panties. Better yet, put these on. The boys won't stand a chance with you wearing these. I'm glad everything was tucked away because I'm sure I would have been stiff as a flagpole the instant I got the panties up and settled into my butt crack. My aunt pretended to be concerned. Feel girly enough. I could hardly speak because of my excitement. My hands trembled as I ran them over the panties. I never thought I could feel like this. It's great. The next thing was a bra that matched the panties and then my jeans and top. When I finished dressing, there was no need to tell me to look in the mirror. I was already standing there shaking my head and sniffling. I should have been a girl. I missed out on so much good stuff. Aunt Jan and Charlotte drew me into a hug. Don't cry. You're a girl now. You can wear sexy things like those panties and bras. You can wear perfume and makeup, and you can suck face with boys. The girl in the mirror wearing tight jeans and top was so happy she started to cry. Aunt Jane just looked at me. Oh, and it's okay to cry too. I woke up early on Saturday, so I'd have plenty of time to dress. I thought about waking Charlotte, but she had warned me not to bother her before 11 o'clock, so I slipped out of the baby doll nightgown I was wearing, threw my panties into the hamper, and pulled on the thong panties Charlotte had lent me. I'd worn enough bras that fastening the clasps in the back wasn't a challenge, and soon I was a sexy girl ready to go boy hunting. I had so much fun skating and boy hunting that I wondered why I'd never done anything like it before. That's when I got an awful feeling remembering why that I hadn't done it before. I was a boy then, and boys didn't go hunting for other boys. I was a boy then, but a girl now, and as the song goes, girls just want to have fun, and so I had fun. Being the new girl, I got more than my share of attention from the boys who just had to skate with me. We skated near each other, next to each other, and my favorite way, with each other. Like I said, skating with each other was my absolute favorite. It seemed that every few songs I had a couple skate, which meant that I had a cute boy holding my hand and smiling at me as we went around the rink. It was heaven. All of my partners were cute and sweet, but the one that really impressed me was Chloe's brother Brian. He was the same age as me and asked me lots of questions about my favorite classes in school, my favorite color, pink, of course, and even my favorite flavor of ice cream. Things none of the other boys asked me about, Brian seemed to be fascinated about. He was such a doll that when the couple skate ended, he kept holding my hand, and we skated together for several minutes afterwards. He made me feel so good that when we finally did stop holding hands, I gave him a kiss on the cheek to say thanks. After leaving the rink, Chloe rushed up to me. You kissed my brother. He's a real sweetie pie, and it was only on the cheek. I argued in my defense. She shook her head as if I misunderstood her. You didn't tell him that you thought he was sweet, did you? No. Should I have? Good grief, no. She nearly shouted. He'll never wash his face again now, and he'll act like he's God's gift to girls. I quickly apologized. I didn't want to upset one of Charlotte's friends when they'd been nice enough to arrange a boy hunt for me. Still, Brian was cute and sweet. I just couldn't tell him that. Obviously, I had a lot to learn about being a girl. Luckily, I had all summer to enjoy my lessons. Shortly after the skating party, I was invited to a slumber party at Joe's house. I'd heard of them, but as a boy, I'd obviously never gone to one, so I had to have Charlotte fill me in on what to expect. We all get together in our PJs and nightgowns, watch movies, listen to music, gossip, do each other's hair and nails, and have a great time. Trust me, this is going to make you glad you're a girl. I couldn't help laughing. Believe me, I already am. Especially when you kissed Brian. That was pretty girly of you, and you can expect to be teased about it at the party. But he was so cute and sweet, I couldn't help myself. Like I said, pretty girly. Guilty. I pretended to be all serious. Throw the book at me 'cause I'd kiss him again if I had the chance. Charlotte got that weird smile on her face, the one she always got when planning something. How about if you were in a dark theater, sharing a thing of popcorn, and he snuck his arm around you? What would you do? Easy. I already told you that he's cute and a sweetie. I'd snuggle up to him like a good girl. And if he tried to kiss you? I'd pull him close, open my lips, and stick my tongue so far down his throat that his feet wouldn't touch the ground. Charlotte shook her head sadly. It's too bad that your mom thinks you're too young to date. You would make a great girlfriend for some lucky boy. I looked around to make sure that Aunt Jan wasn't nearby. I had what I considered to be a great plan, but didn't want her to hear it for fear she'd tell my parents and ruin it. I could go if a bunch of us went, I whispered. Then, if Brain or some other cute boy just happened to sit next to me. I love it, Charlotte whispered back. You are the sneakiest, best little sister I could have Eve wanted. We talked it over with the other girls at the slumber party, and while watching a romantic movie that had all of us in tears, we made plans on when to go and which of the boys would get to sit next to me. Please don't kiss my brother again, Chloe pleaded. He hasn't shut up about the pretty girl that kissed him since the last time. He thinks I'm pretty. I just had to ask. Imagine a boy thought that I was pretty. Maybe I should wear my pink skater skirt the next time we go skating? Of course he thinks you're pretty. Chloe immediately shot back. He's not blind, you know. If you wear a skater skirt, you'll have to skate without Brian since he'll be in the bathroom jacking off. I didn't think that girls talked that way, but I had to keep pushing. Okay, how about I wear my hot girl perfume? He'll be awfully sore when he gets home. It was making me feel so very good to know that I could have that effect on a boy. There was no doubt at all that I was really a girl. A pretty girl that boys would be interested in, and not a boy pretending to be a girl. By the time the party ended the next morning, I had my hair and nails done, been made up to look like a college girl, tried on different outfits that other girls had brought, and was convinced that I was as pretty and as much a girl as any girl there. Now I needed a boy to test my new feminine wiles on. My girlfriends and I set up a group date to see a scary movie, hoping it would make the boy I was partnered with to at least my hand during the scary parts. If he did, I'd smile and snuggle up to him to make him feel good. If he kept holding it after the scary part, I'd call him my hero and give him a kiss on his cheek. Everything worked out perfectly. Aunt Jan had no problems with a group date, and my friends were able to find enough guys who were more than happy to spend an afternoon with a bunch of good-looking girls. The other girls subtly paired off with guys, leaving Brian to sit next to me. He seemed happy with his luck, and I don't think he had any idea that it was all planned. Brian seemed a little shy, not noticing that the other guys were already holding hands with the girls next to them. So, since we were sharing a tub of popcorn, I accidentally, of course, put my hand in at the same time he put his in. I smiled at him when we touched hands and got a big smile back. Things were definitely looking up. Now to get him to hold my hand. I waited for what I'd read was a scary part of the movie and pretended to shudder. Right on cue, Brian reached over, took my hand, and smiled at me. Of course, I smiled back and thanked him. It felt great to have him hold my hand. I actually felt safe from the scary part of the movie, and when he smiled at me, he was even cuter than usual. Naturally, when the movie ended, I kissed his cheek and thanked him for protecting me and making me feel safe during the scary part. I loved it when he kissed my cheek and told me that he'd be happy to protect me anytime. Things were going so well for me. Charlotte told me that I was as much a girl as any real girl my age. That had to be, 'cause I paid close attention to all the things she taught me, like how to walk, talk, hold my hands, put together a pretty outfit, and especially how to act around boys, my favorite subject. I was invited to birthday parties for my girlfriends, shopping with them, slumber parties, and pool parties. The parties were tons of fun because except for the slumber parties, boys were invited, and that made the pool parties even better. We girls paired off with a boy for a game called horse. The boys would be horses, and the girls rode on their shoulders and tried to knock each other off their horse. Of course, any time that Brian came to a pool party, he was my faithful steed. By the middle of summer, a boy named Bobby was all but forgotten, having been replaced by a cute girl named Mindy, who was everybody's friend. One day, Mom and Daddy dropped by for a visit, and I noticed something different about Daddy. He looked thinner and sort of younger than he did when I'd last seen him. I asked him if he was okay, and he looked over at Mom, laughed, and said he felt better than ever. I noticed that he was wearing a pair of women's jeans but didn't ask him why. A couple of weeks later, Mom and Daddy stopped by again. They said they were in the area and decided to see how their favorite daughter was doing. When I asked why they were in the area, Daddy told me that they were both considering getting jobs at a nearby college and that we might move nearby. That was exciting news. If we moved nearby, I wouldn't have to say goodbye to all of my new friends. Maybe I could even go to the same school that they did. When I mentioned going to school with my friends, Mom explained that Charlotte and many of my girlfriends went to an all-girls school and that she and Daddy were actually thinking of sending me to the same school. But first, I had to talk to a doctor. A couple of weeks later, I had an appointment with a doctor to see about becoming a real girl. I wore a denim skirt and a cute white top with short ruffled sleeves, hoping to get the doctor to think of me as a girl. The doctor first took some blood from me and then asked me all kinds of questions, like what I liked most about being a girl. I told him everything: the pretty clothes, being able to fix my hair, getting to know Charlotte like another girl, being her little sister, and of course boys. He asked me all about boys and even if I'd gone all the way with a boy. "You know," I answered quickly. "I'm a good girl and wouldn't do something like that." Have I ever thought of getting married to a boy when I grew up? Of course, I told him with a smile. Right now, I'm hoping my husband will be Brian, but he hasn't asked me yet. Besides the questions the doctor asked, I had to go through different tests on a computer too. It seemed to take forever before the doctor told me that I was finally done. I wanted to hear how I did on the tests, but he said that Mom and Daddy would be the ones to tell me that. I was all anxious for the couple of weeks, until Aunt Jan said that Mom and Daddy were coming to talk to me. They gave me a big hug and kiss and told me that the doctor agreed with me. I really should be a girl, and he even gave them a prescription for hormones that would help me become a girl. I was still too young to go through the surgery to make a girl out of me, but the pills would shrink my testicles and penis and make me start developing like a girl. Before long, I'd have a nice bubble butt and boobies and wouldn't have much left to glue out of sight. They talked to the principal and the school board and were told that since the doctor said that was going to become a girl. For real, I could attend the school as Mindy and be with Charlotte and my friends. It would be just like staying with Aunt Jan. I'd wear a girl's uniform, a skirt and blouse, let my hair grow so I could wear it in lots of pretty styles. My records at that school would show that I was Melinda Marie, and all of my old school records would be changed from Robert to Melinda. Daddy took a deep breath and looked at me, kind of funny-like. "Before we do that, would it be okay with you? Do you want to physically become a girl?" It took a bit to realize what they were saying, because I'd actually forgotten that I was really a boy. I'd gotten so into being a girl that I thought I was a girl. Now my parents are offering me a chance to actually be a girl. I got lost imaging going to school in a skirt and blouse, having long hair, carrying a purse, and have everyone call me Mindy. Earth to Mindy. I heard Charlotte call out, "Who knows, if you're a girl, you could be Brian's girlfriend someday." Thinking about being Brian's girlfriend pushed me further into dreamland. I heard Charlotte explaining about how I had a huge crush on Brian, how I'd already kissed him twice and held hands in the show. He's cute. He protected me during the scary parts of the movie, and he's got such kissable cheeks. I giggled, remembering the show. I think you have your answer, Aunt Jen laughed. Bobby's already a girl. Of course I am, I answered without thinking. Remember how I used to wear pretty dresses and panties and play with my dolls? Ask anyone that knows me. They'll tell you that I'm a girl. I stood up and pulled down the shorts I was wearing to show off the pretty thong panties I'd bought the last time I went shopping. See my panties. Boys don't wear these. Mom smiled and shook her head. You're a girl, no doubt about it. We just have to get our pretty daughter registered for her new school. Daddy was looking at my panties and smiling. I saw him nudge Mom and say something, but she told him to wait until later. I was so happy. I was going to be a girl for real. Pretty clothes, panties, wearing a skirt and blouse to school, and Brian too, I hoped. Your dad and I have some papers to fill out, Mom explained as she and Daddy got ready to leave. We'll stop back soon. There's someone I want you to meet. I heard Aunt Jen talking to Mom and Addie as they left. You're really going through with it? I guess so. I've gone too far to back out. I heard Dad say, Terry loves the change and my new employer has absolutely no problems with it. Linda's so sweet and considerate, Mom told my aunt. It's definitely a change for the better. Like father, like son, Aunt Jan laughed. I asked my aunt what was going on, but she just smiled and said it was a surprise and that I'd find out soon enough. Except for my being so excited about becoming a girl for real, everything stayed pretty much the same. My friends and I shopped, played softball with the boys, had slumber parties, and even went to an amusement park where we ran into Brian and some other boys. My friends teased me and Brian and dared us to go on the Ferris wheel together. It seemed like fun. So we got into a car and cuddled up to each other. When our car got to the top, the operator stopped it. Looking down, we saw my friends making kissy faces. You know what you have to do when you stop at the top, don't you? Brian teased and made a kissy face. I looked into his beautiful brown eyes and kissed him on the lips for the first time. Giving him a kiss made me feel so good. His lips felt so nice against mine that I hated to stop. Brian didn't seem to want to stop either, so we squeezed in 3 more kisses before the car started to move again. I grabbed his hand and told him how much I loved kissing him. He somehow managed to pull me close and give me another. This time, though, our tongues got to know each other until it was time for us to get off. My girlfriends all teased me when I got off the ride, but who cares? I got to kiss the dreamiest boy in the whole world. A couple of days went by before Mom called and said everything was set up for me to go back to school as Mindy. She bought me some uniforms and her and Aunt Linda were going to come to Aunt Jan's so that I could make sure they fit. Charlotte read the message and asked who my Aunt Linda was. I don't know, I told her. Our moms are sisters and Dad was an only child. You'll meet her this weekend, Aunt Jan told us. Your mom's told me all about her, but this will be the first time I'll actually get to meet her. That Saturday, I was all worked up. I was going to try on my new school uniforms and meet an aunt that no one seemed to know anything about. Sure, I'd tried on Charlotte's uniforms, but this would be different. These skirts and blouses would be mine to wear when I went to a school for girls. Early that afternoon, Mom's car pulled in, and she and another woman started walking to the house. The other woman had reddish blonde hair, was wearing a pretty yellow sundress that showed off the tops of her breasts, ended just above her knees, and was trimmed in lace at the neckline and hem. She wore nude stockings and high-heeled sandals that matched her dress. She was pretty, but also familiar. It seemed obvious that she was related to Daddy. Aunt Jan met them at the door and gave the woman a kiss on the cheek as she came inside. Hi, Linda. It's so nice to finally meet you. Terry's told me so much about you. Thanks, Jan. The woman smiled and gave her a hug. I've been waiting to meet you too. I hope this isn't too much of a shock. No, like I was saying, Terry's been keeping me updated. It's a bit of a surprise, but as long as Terry's okay with it, it's fine with me. Okay. Mom nodded as she looked at Aunt Linda. I'm thrilled with it. Linda's so sweet and easygoing. I just love having her around. Life is so much better now, Aunt Linda said. No more arguing over silly things. We share the housework, we enjoy shopping together, and we can share clothes. Turning to me, she smiled. We owe it all to this wonderful girl who showed me how to enjoy the softer side of life. At that moment, I realized that my pretty Aunt Linda was actually Daddy in a pretty dress with long curly hair and makeup. Daddy? I asked, still not positive that my aunt was really my daddy. Aunt Linda now, sweetie, she said as she pulled me close for a hug and kiss. I hope you don't mind having another aunt. You're hooked then? Aunt Jan asked as Aunt Linda smoothed her dress and sat next to Mom on the couch. Oh yes, no doubt about it. Aunt Linda shook her head as she crossed her legs and adjusted her skirt. I watched how easily Bobby became Mindy and wondered what the attraction could be. I started wearing Terry's panties and nightgowns last spring, right about when we decided to let Mindy spend the summer with you and Charlotte. Once Mindy was out of the house, Terry pulled out all of the stops to turn me into Linda. She was a little hesitant at first, Mom explained, but she enjoyed wearing my clothes and pretending to be Linda, that I insisted she take it further. I taught her how to use makeup and put together outfits she'd look good in, and I had her listen to some special CDs that taught her how to speak and act like a woman. She forgot to tell me that the CDs would do that to me. Aunt Linda laughed. But after a couple of weeks, I was begging her to go shopping. The stores were advertising outfits for the summer, and I just had to get some pretty things to wear. Terry didn't have enough clothes for 2 women, and I wanted to see if I could get away with being a woman in public. You should have seen her swishing her cute butt through the mall. Mom laughed. Guys were practically tripping over their tongues watching my pretty husband. I felt a little strange at first, Aunt Linda added. I wasn't used to having guys smile and drool over me when I passed them. After a couple of trips to the mall and just walking around, I not only got used to it, I looked forward to it. I think we're getting a little carried away in front of the girls. Aunt Shan looked at Charlotte. Why don't you help Mindy try on her new uniforms? We ladies have a lot to talk about. Aunt Linda came along to help me, leaving Mom and Aunt Jan alone. The last thing I heard Mom tell Aunt Jan was those CDs made him want to do more than just dress as a woman. I'm not going to have a husband running around in dresses. It's all or nothing, as far as I'm concerned, and he just loves being a pretty lady. It was fun having Aunt Linda help me try on my uniforms. She made a big fuss over my thong panties, telling me how sexy they were, and how, when I got older, I'd love wearing sexy lingerie to tempt my husband or lover. Are you going to keep dressing like a lady, Daddy? I asked as I pulled up my skirt and tucked in my blouse. It's Aunt Linda for now, she corrected me. And yes, I'm going to keep dressing like a lady. I didn't understand why you wanted to wear your mom's clothes or why you seemed to be so happy as a little girl. Your mom and I talked about it a lot, and we finally decided that I should try it too. I started out wearing her panties and nightgowns. After you were in bed, and then I kept the panties on all day because they felt so nice. The next thing I knew, Mom had me taking baths instead of showers and using her hair removal cream. I thought it felt good to have nice smooth legs, like she did. They looked pretty good when she talked me into wearing stockings, and getting rid of the hair on rest of my body made me look better when I wore nightgowns to bed. After Aunt Linda helped me tie the cute floppy bow that came with the blouse, brushed my hair, and added a little bit of blush and lip gloss, I pulled on a pair of green knee socks to match my green and gray plaid skirt and a pair of saddle shoes. You look just like every other girl at school, Charlotte told me after giving me a once-over. Aunt Linda gently led me back to Mom and Aunt Jan, who gushed over me. Isn't she just the cutest thing? Aunt Linda asked. Makes me wish I'd started dressing when I was her age. I could have worn a cute uniform like hers and maybe even a prom dress. Cheer up, Linda, Mom told her. Someday you might walk down the aisle in a beautiful gown and become a wife. I don't know if I could go that far, Aunt Linda answered. I've already gone farther than I thought possible. I can't imagine you ever being my dad again. I piped in, you'd have to quit wearing pretty dresses like the one you have on. You couldn't wear silky underwear, and you'd have to remember how to act like a man. What? Give up my frilly lingerie? She joked. They can have my panties when they take them off my cold, dead butt. Besides, like your mom said, I've come to enjoy the attention I get from men. You should get some thong panties, I told her. I feel so good when I wear them. Real girly, know what I mean. Mom just shook her head and turned to Aunt Jan. I never thought the day would come when I'd hear my husband and son talking about wearing panties, let alone butt floss. I felt like I had to say something. Your husband's not here, and neither is your son. Your daughter loves how pretty and feminine she feels when she wears panties like that, and I'll bet her Aunt Linda would enjoy them too. I've got an idea, Charlotte interrupted. Why don't we take a trip to the mall and all get some thong panties? I feel the same way Mindy does when I wear them. Are you ladies afraid to feel that way? Aunt Jan was quick to respond. Sounds like a challenge, ladies. Are we women enough for sexy lingerie? I know I am, Aunt Linda quickly answered. How about you, Terry? Vicky's secret, anyone. Mom laughed but agreed, so I was out of my uniform and into a denim skirt and a top in a flash. Then we all piled into Mom's car and headed to see if we had what it took to be sexy ladies. As we walked towards the lingerie store, I noticed that Mom was right about how Aunt Linda attracted men. Even if a man was out with his wife or girlfriend, he took notice of Aunt Linda and smiled at her. She always noticed and smiled right back at them. She hasn't missed a guy yet, Aunt Jan told Mom. She's just wasting her time as your husband. You could do pretty well just dating her leftovers. Aunt Linda wasn't in the least bit shy when we got into the store. She was in heaven as she picked up panties, bra, and other lingerie and checked them carefully. I can't believe I'm doing this, she whispered to Mom. It's a dream come true. Believe it. You're a woman now, Linda. Mom sighed. This is pretty close to heaven for women. Aunt Linda began choosing matching bra and panties and asking Mom's opinion of them. Every pair she chose were silky and dripping with lace. After choosing a few for herself, she began choosing some for me. How about these? She smiled devilishly as she showed me a matching bra and panty set in white. It was so silky feeling. The bra cups were covered in lace and the panty was nothing but lace. You could probably wear this under your uniform, she said. Your blouse isn't thin enough for anyone to see the bra, and you'll feel great just knowing that you're wearing the set. Get it, Charlotte urged. You could wear it the next time you're on the Ferris wheel with Brian. I really didn't need encouragement. Oh wow, if I'm wearing this and he tries to kiss me, I'll drag him to the tunnel of love and have my way with him. Behave yourself, Mindy, Aunt Linda cautioned. You're too young to get serious with a boy. Yes, Daddy? I whispered back. Why did my aunt have to be just like my dad? Her hearing was better than I thought. Don't get smart with me, young lady, she warned. I still have to sign those papers so you can go to school as Mindy. How would you like to go to a public school as Bobby? Talk about terrifying. I'm sorry, Aunt Linda, emphasizing the Aunt Linda. I promise to be a good girl. Please don't bring Bobby back. We paid for our stuff, and I meekly followed behind everyone as we left the store. Just the threat of having to be Bobby again nearly brought tears to my eyes. How could I be expected to be a teenage boy again after spending months as a little girl, making lots of friends as a pretty teenager, and hopefully gone to an all-girls school in a few weeks? Back at Aunt Jane's, Mom was a little upset with Aunt Linda. You let her buy sexy panties. She already had a few pair that I think she's too young for. She doesn't need any more. I'm sorry. I just thought it was important for her to feel all feminine so she'll fit in with other girls. Mom completely lost it. She wore little girl dresses with day-of-the-week panties, petticoats, camisoles, and tights for nearly 6 months. Mom argued back. She had a little girl's bedroom and played with dolls. She now lives as a teenage girl, spends all of her time with girls, and heaven help us, she even has a crush on a boy who obviously thinks she's pretty. How much more feminine can she possibly get? Aunt Linda knew better than to argue with Mom, so she gave up as fast as she could. To smooth things over, she suggested that we all go to dinner the next evening. You obviously haven't been a woman for very long. Aunt Jean laughed at her idea. We have to shop for outfits for the occasion. A woman can't just grab a dress from her closet for dinner the next night. What if someone's already seen her in that dress? She'd never be able to hold her head up again. I do have this dark blue dress with a lace shell that I've been dying to wear. Aunt Linda tried to explain, but I have been a woman long enough that I won't turn down a chance to shop for a new dress. All right, Charlotte shouted. I get a new dress. I love you, Aunt Linda. Charlotte got herself a strapless floral patterned dress on a white background that reached just past her thighs. She looked so pretty in it, and I was so jealous, but I didn't think my fake boobs would let me look nearly as pretty as she did, so I picked a spaghetti strapped blue dress with a top that had white lace over the blue background. The skirt flared out from my hips and was just a little sheer, but had sort of a blue slip built into it. Somehow, I just knew that boys would enjoy seeing me in it. Aunt Linda chose a pair of low-heeled dark blue shoes for me, and Mom got me a pair of silky pantyhose that I could hardly wait to put on. I looked at Aunt Linda as I carefully rolled up my stockings. She was wearing just her panties and a bra and was gently smoothing out a pair of stockings that ended at her thighs in an elastic band made of black lace. She lowered a dress over her head and was tugging over her waist when I noticed something. I guess I should say it was what I didn't notice that got my attention. Her testicles were gone, and she was as flat as I was. Aunt Linda noticed my staring and gestured towards her crotch. Your mom insisted that I start taking female hormones not long after I began dressing. She said, acting as if it was completely normal. They weren't helping much, so my doctor suggested that I get rid of my testicles. Once I did that, the hormones really kicked in. I went from a 32 bras to a 34. My penis shrunk to barely as big as my thumb, and my butt filled out pretty well. Don't you think? She spun around, giving me a look at her very well-shaped butt in the thong panties she wore. You look hot, I found myself telling her. Mom's okay with you being a woman, I guess. She got tired of me complaining about her turning you into a little girl, so she insisted that I start wearing panties. They felt so good that I couldn't stop. I wore them all of the time. I know, I agreed as I fastened the padded bra that matched my panties. I just loved how they felt, and somehow, the day-of-the-week ones really made me feel like a little girl. One thing led to another, she went on. The next thing I knew, Mom had bought me some sexy nightgowns and panties of my own. I had to be careful. I didn't want you to see me in a pink baby doll-style nightgown that I considered my favorite, or to see the lace waistband of my panties. I couldn't picture my dad running around the house in a sexy baby doll nightgown, but it seemed easy enough to imagine my pretty aunt wearing one. Best of all, I could so easily picture myself in one. I helped her zip up the low-cut pink dress she wore. She looked so pretty. The dress barely reached her knees, fit her like a glove, and was decorated with sparkly rhinestones across the neckline. After she put on her makeup and fixed her hair, Aunt Lynn helped me style my hair, and we went to meet the rest of the family. We complimented each other on our dresses and hair before leaving for dinner. I kept glancing over at my new aunt and smiling. She looked so pretty and so happy. I hoped that I'd be just like her someday. Of course, 3 pretty ladies attracted a lot of attention from guys, and Aunt Linda handled it like a pro. A good-looking guy held the door for us, and she gave him a smile that could have melted an iceberg. He was still smiling and holding the door after we'd all gone inside. Just like you and Brian, Charlotte whispered as we took our seats at the table. There are dances at school every month. Maybe you can get him to take you to one. Could I, Mom? Please. I put my hands together as if praying. I'll be a good girl and won't even try to reach his toes with my tongue when he kisses me. Don't you mean if he kisses you? Mom tried to keep a straight face, but it wasn't working. You'll be 15 in another week. Your Aunt Linda and I feel that it would be okay for you to start dating. Spending time with boys is a very important part of growing up for a girl. We're sure we can trust you. But I'll be stuck in that uniform, I complained. That uniform, as Mindy, or public school as Bobby? Aunt Linda insisted, your choice. Boys get a kick out of seeing us in those uniforms, Charlotte whispered. Believe me, they'll be all over a pretty girl like you. Mindy. I grinned and shook my head up and down. Absolutely, Mindy. The next day, Mom and Aunt Linda got ready to go home again. They both wore shorts, sleeveless tops, and sandals. Before they left, Aunt Jan insisted on fixing Aunt Linda's hair so she wouldn't need a wig anymore. When she was done, even Mom had to admit that she was a beautiful lady and would need to beat men back with a stick. I didn't go through all of this to beat them back. Aunt Linda put her hands on her hips. Bring them on. Linda's ready for them. By the end of summer, Mom and Aunt Linda had bought a house close to Aunt Jan's, and we were all together again. It didn't bother me at all to see my dad leaving for work every morning in a skirt or a dress. He wasn't Daddy anymore. He was Aunt Linda, and he and Mom were secretaries at the local college. At work, everyone knew that they were sisters-in-law, divorced from their husbands, and best of all, available to date. Several evenings a week, one or both would get all dolled up and go off with a good-looking guy for dinner or a movie. At the end of the night, I'd hear them in the kitchen, laughing and talking about how much fun they'd had. I wasn't upset. They had their boyfriends, and I had mine. I was still seeing Brian, but also dated other boys, sometimes with Charlotte and sometimes alone. I had no doubts that I was a teenage girl, and I made very sure that my dates didn't doubt it either. They got plenty of kisses, and if they were really nice and I had a great time with them, they got what Charlotte and I called a special squeeze at the end of the date. It was fun when she and I were doubling, to be in the back seat of the car, knowing she was squeezing and tugging on her date, while I was doing the same to mine. A few years passed when the big event happened. I decided to quit pretending to be a woman, and had the surgery to become all woman, just like Daddy had recently done. I didn't have much left to tuck, but I wanted with all of my heart to have nothing to tuck, and a nice place for Brian to stick the penis I'd grown to enjoy sucking on. So that's how it all started. I was a nerdy teen boy snooping around the internet when I ran into something unusual. I got started on it and managed to get hooked. I sometimes wonder if sites like that should be banned or somehow restricted to prevent another boy from also getting trapped and wanting to be a girl. But then I think of how wonderful it is when Brian gently lifts the sexy nightgowns that I wear for his enjoyment, carefully tugs off my panties, and makes me scream in delight as he makes me thank God that I found that sight.